What's happening, people? And once again, welcome back to youtube.com/CubCamTV for this, another edition of the CubCast, our now seemingly daily news section we are running at least 4 or 5 times a week, bringing you the latest updates on different bits of news that are going on from around the world of international music. Obviously, we're based here in the UK, and the genres we tend to cover on the channel are international to us. Obviously, Afrobeats, dancehall, amapiano, reggae, anything in those kind of expansive brackets, or under those sort of genre brackets are sounds we like to cover here on the channel. As always, though, it's great to see so many of you joining the channel. A massive shouts out to each and every one of the new subscribers. We are now hurtling towards 30,000 subscribers. We hit 29,000 yesterday. Incredible stuff. We're already like a fifth of the way on moving forward. So big up each and every one of you who has been involved in the journey so far. I need to think of a plan for what we do when we hit 30,000, but I cannot thank each and every one of you enough. Now, moving into today's topic of conversation, I've been doing some digging. I like to find some news bits to do throughout the week. Obviously, on Tuesdays now, we're going to be looking at the updated Billboard charts. The US Afrobeats Billboard chart is the one we're going to be focusing in on each week, running for a top 50 rundown on that and keeping you guys up to date with what's going on. But I want to look to the future more than anything else in regards to album releases, because we know there are some incredible projects on the way. We've already had some fantastic projects this year. Asher's album was fantastic. Fioke's project was great. Adekunle Gold's album was actually kind of slept on, in my honest opinion. And then, of course, Rema's album recently is blowing the charts out of the water, which is really exciting to see, because these are kind of the 4 that stand out to me so far. You've also obviously got Fave's EP, which is doing absolute bits as well. We've also got Asake's EP as well, which is doing fantastically well. But if we look at actual albums, there are some incredible projects on the way. I've got the list up in front of me of the ones we know that are confirmed this year. I've looked around numerous different places and I've found that these ones are all albums that we know are definitely on the way, either this year or we know they are confirmed to be coming on the way. But we'll make the assumption that they are on the way this year. We've also, of course, had World's album as well, which was My World With You, which I won't lie, I kind of slept on a little bit. I need to properly dive into it, but it's getting moderately good reviews, so we will dive into that at some point. But I've got the list here, so we're going to run through some of the albums that we know are on the way. So starting off with Lighter. There's an album on the way that goes by the name RAFAT. I don't know whether that's Rafat or Rafay, but Lighter does have a brand new project on the way. Now, we've listened to a few Lighter tunes on the channel. We've included a lot of Lighter music on the sort of mixes we do on the channel as well, and I'm very excited to see just how lively that project is. Again, the singles we've seen, I'm pretty sure there's a collaboration with Naira Marley that we've covered, and we were running on the show quite regularly, on the Breakfast Show even, but that's one of the projects, that's one of the kind of less kind of established ones, but again, an artist I'm very, very keen on, and a project that I'm very keen to see expand. Alongside this, Shike has a new project on the way that goes by the name Brother's Keeper. Over the last sort of 6 months or so, we've really dived into a lot more Shike on the channel. Again, Nwaka OMAH for me was one of the biggest releases of January, one of the biggest releases at the start of the year. And kind of seeing just how the Shike sound's been evolving over the last few years, especially. We've seen a lot of live performances, a lot of live shows. I know Shike and Simi performed together quite a lot as well, but I'm very keen to see how this album would come together, because I feel like this is an album that would be almost summarizing kind of the more country style of what's going on. We know Shike likes to keep things very stripped back, very kind of acoustic in the way things sound, so it'd be a really cool kind of additional card to throw into the mesh of other albums that we know are currently on the way this year. But again, another very exciting project that we know to be on the way. I have got these all written down, that's why I'm looking at my other screen, just so you guys are aware. I always like to make sure I've got notes written down, just so we aren't kind of mistaking information or anything like that. We're trying to treat this channel as a genuinely journalistic platform, so hopefully you guys do appreciate that we do use notes and things like that. I know some people get a bit funny about YouTubers using notes. I don't really understand why. I'd rather give the correct information, you know. But there we go. Moving forward, the return of Runtown is another huge one that we know is on the way with the album Signs. Obviously, Runtown hasn't been super active, but again, there has been so many bangers from Runtown over the years. It's been a while since we've seen that sort of streak of dominance, but we do know that there is an album project on the way. Again, we haven't heard many singles, we haven't heard many individual drops, so we don't know what this album is going to consist of, but we can guarantee it's going to be very, very exciting indeed. Runtown is the definition of a hit maker. Whenever we hear new Runtown music, it always seems to absolutely slap. So again, an album that I'm very excited for, despite the fact we do know relatively little about it. Moving forward then, we have got 6 more to discuss. 6 more, and when I say 6 more, I mean 6 more high-end projects that we know to be on the way. Young Preacher from Black Bones is another project we know to be on the way. Obviously, Black Bones always kind of hyping up the timeline with kind of social media antics and things like that, but we do know Black Bones does make very good music. It's that simple. Commander for me is one of my favorite releases this year. We've actually done the reaction to that. We've included it in mixes and things like that. It's a tune that works really, really nicely in transition. And I'm really excited to see how people take to this project when it lands. Again, we don't know that much about length, but we know that Black Bones has a lot of versatility in the way that he actually builds his tunes. So again, with all of the artists we know that we've got left, we know they have versatility, so we can always expect a very kind of wide-ranging album in regards to sounds and styles. Alongside this, Benson has a project on the way, which has been heavily talked about a lot. Since the start of this year, Benson's been involved in a lot of collaborations. Obviously, he's had obviously Finesse alongside Feels, which did absolute bits. He's had Ice Cream alongside Fouls, again a tune which has done absolute bits. Obviously, 4 Days, I think is the name of the new single that he's currently got out there as well. So we know Benson's been active. We know the direction he's been taking sound-wise, and obviously the name switch from Buju to Benson is going to be a big deal as well. But Bad from 97 is apparently on the way this year. I reckon this is going to be full of collaborations. I reckon it's going to be full of really kind of unique takes and sounds. We know that Benson has one of the most unique voices out there. So again, I'm very keen to see how this album kind of develops and showcases what he's all about. Alongside this, the return of OMAH, who again has had a single out this year, obviously a huge one with Justin Bieber on Attention. He had a relatively quiet end to last year and had a relatively quiet start to this year until that collaboration came around. But we are going to be getting Boy Alone this year by the looks of things. I'm really excited to see how this album kind of develops, how this album kind of showcases what OMAH is about, because again, OMAH is a hit maker. You look over the majority of his catalogue, he hasn't got that many tunes in the catalogue. Like, he's got a couple of smaller projects or whatever, but there aren't like hundreds of tunes there. There's about 30 kind of notable tunes since he started back in since I think it was 2018 we first started seeing stuff from OMAH, 2018 or 2019, and since then we have seen nothing but bangers. So again, really exciting to see how this goes on and develops. Moving forward from this, also the sounds of FIREBOY DML. Of course, we know that Playboy is on the way. The title track from the project is out there now. That says to me that this project isn't that far away. I would presume it's going to be landing within the next couple of months. Obviously, the press campaigns he's been on recently, alongside the likes of Madonna, obviously a huge collaboration there, and he's had a couple of other huge ones over the last few weeks as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this album actually sounds. Obviously, he's working on other people's releases and other people's projects at the same time, but I think this is going to likely be the album that could well rival Raven Roses. And obviously there's an album on this list which we all expect to rival Raven Roses, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but it's going to be very interesting to see how FIREBOY takes to the kind of album format. Obviously we saw Apollo was quite a wide album in regards to different sounds and styles, but his sound individually has developed a ton since that album landed. So very, very excited to see where the album goes. Again, guys, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I want to hear what albums you're most excited for. Which album do you think will surprise us the most as well? That's quite an important factor in this discussion. Right, moving into the final 2 projects as well. The sounds of Olamide with Unruly. Now, we know Olamide is one of the most versatile out there. We know he is one of the real forefathers, one of the people that really pushes new artists forward at all times. Currently pushing Asake forward as the sort of main kind of force between YBNL, and I think this is going to be a really good showcase. I'm expecting to see a lot of collaborations on this album. I don't know whether Hate Me with One Day Cole will be featured on this project, but obviously that's the big single from Olamide at the moment alongside OMAH, but we know OMAH is part of Asake's EP, so that won't be featuring on there, but I'm presuming Hate Me with One Day Cole will be a centerpiece on this project. And again, I love to see Olamide in the collaborative sort of sense. I love seeing him come together with other artists. It's something that he's clearly a specialist at, and I think this is going to be a really good kind of opportunity to show what his sound is saying at the moment. We haven't heard a full project since WIZKID, which I believe was back in 2020, I think it was, or 2021, one of the two. Obviously, it's been over a year since we've heard a new project from Olamide, so I'm very keen to see how this one sounds. I think it was back in 2020. To be precise. But moving forward again, we are going to get into the album that I know a lot of people are going to be talking about. A lot of people are going to be wondering why I haven't mentioned it yet. I've saved the most highly anticipated for last, and that is, of course, More Love, Less Ego from WIZKID. The interesting thing about this album is we haven't heard brand new, exclusive WIZKID material in a long, long time. If we're being entirely honest, the last time we heard something new from WIZKID was the feature with Asher. That wasn't his tune. He's featured on a couple of other random bits here and there. But we haven't heard him going out solo. in a long period of time with new material. The last thing we heard from him that was solo was obviously the deluxe edition of Made in Lagos, and there are a few new school bangers on there. But again, that came out like a long time ago. Like the actual deluxe edition came out a long time ago when we're thinking about how often WIZKID releases music in general. We know this album is on the way. There were rumors that it's been finished for a while. Collaboratively, we don't really have any idea about who's going to be featuring. I couldn't think that he would do another project without another Thames collaboration, though. I think that's something that's very likely. And I also think we're likely to see another big sort of American collaboration getting involved in this one as well. I think it's something we're likely to see. Wiz is very clever with the maneuvers he makes. I think wouldn't surprise me if we saw another kind of big UK collaboration on there as well, like a Skepta or a Dave or someone in those kind of directions. And again, it's going to be really interesting to see how the album actually develops and turns into potentially one of the biggest albums in the world. Following on from Made in Lagos, it's got a lot to live up to. But again, guys, let me know what you think about the albums that are on the way this year. Which is your favourite? Obviously, projects on the way from Lighter, Shike, Runtown, Blackbones, Benson, OMAH, FIREBOY DML, Olamide and WIZKID. When you add that to the list of artists that are already out there in regards to Fioke, Asher, also the likes of Adekunle Gold and Rema, this could be one of the best album release years for this sound that ever been, if we're being entirely honest. And it's so excited to see all of these fantastic artists having projects on the way. So there we go. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm keen to hear from each and every one of you. We want to turn this platform into somewhat of a musical forum so that you guys can get involved and give your opinions on what's going on more than anything else. Which album are you most excited for? Which album do you think will surprise people the most? And are there any albums we've actually missed as well? Do let me know in the comment section down below. As always though, if you have enjoyed this video, please make sure you're hitting that subscribe button on the right hand side of the page, turning notifications on, leaving a like, leaving a comment, and all of that good stuff. And we shall see you all next time, my friends. Have a good one, and peace.
Them sounding so good right now, but they're sounding a Brighton town.
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, CubCamTV. Stay locked.